Welcome back, freelancers. I'm Defeated Rescue. We're in the Interceptor today. We're going to be going over a melee, ult, and acid effect build. But let's go to the forge and check it out. So the Interceptor build we're going with is going to be an acid, melee, and ult build all together. Not really synergizing too much efficiency on anything specific, but mostly focusing on the overall acid damage we're doing. For the weapons, we got Close Encounter. It's an upgraded barrage, delivers an excellent rate of fire, and then its masterwork perk is Scout's Fury. Dashing increases weapon damage by 125% for 10 seconds. That is also applies to melee weapon damage. I got 85% armor on it. I've got 10% gear damage. And then I've also got harvesting and physical damage. So the physical damage is actually what acid is. So weapon damage and acid damage both count as physical damage. So this is going to add 15% to my overall acid damage effect as well. Jara's Wrath. It's a Volt caster, uses sealed technology to focus ambient electricity, and then it blasts. Its masterwork perk is it blasts a short range arc, a lightning arc. It's got dual damage inscriptions of 47%, and then it's got 20% gear recharge, so I'll be able to spam my gear a little bit more often. And it's got some weapon ammo. Deathstalker blades. So they're upgraded venomous blades, double bladed daggers that poison their target. They deal additional damage against enemies with health below 50%. So basically, if I can get enemies down to about half health, basically this does way more damage, or it does more damage to them than it would do if they're full health. It has dual inscriptions of weapon damage, so I'm getting about 400% extra weapon damage just for the base damage. And then it's got it's got 30% repair amount, and then it's got some sniper ammo. Assault system, we're running Serpent's Veil. It's an upgraded venom bomb, drenches a target area in acid. And then its masterwork perk is Striker's Venom. Melee hits increase all acid damage by 200% for 10 seconds. So it's going to add 200% to all my melee hits. And I've got about 25% extra gear damage. I'm also going to have 25% weapon damage, which should apply to my melee. And then it's got an extra charge, so I can spam it a little bit more often. It's also got some assault rifle ammo. Strike system, we're going to be using Viper's Bite. So Viper's Bite is an upgraded venom spray. Sprays a cone of acid, and then hitting an enemy adds 7 ult charges. So if you get into a group of enemies, it's 7 ult charges per enemy type in that area. It's got 40% gear recharge on just this, and it's got an extra charge additionally, and then it's got 35% repair drop rate, so they should be dropping repair packs more often, and it's also got 35% ammo drop rate, so they should be dropping ammo packs often as well. Support system, we're bringing Slayer's Fury. So it's an upgraded target beacon, locks onto a target, reduces their resistance, and jumps to another target if defeated. So basically, if I kill an enemy, it'll go to another one that's nearby. Additionally, immediately marks additional enemies near the target. So I've got 300 charge on this, so all 4 of these, so I can spam them pretty often. It's also got repair amount, so whenever I pick up a repair amount, I'll get 13% additional repair amount on top of that, and then it's got some shotgun ammo. Components, we're going to run emergency power. So emergency power is an inscribed component that augments javelin ult gear and increases damage by 30% of base damage. Ult meter refills instantly when armor is critically damaged. It can occur every 120 seconds. I've got 45% ult damage and 75% armor. The ult damage just decrease the damage of my ult, and then the armor will just help make me a little bit more tanky. Bloodlust, an inscripted component that increases melee damage or melee weapon damage by 30% of the base damage. So that'll increase my melee damage overall by 30%. Increases melee damage by an additional 75% for 10 seconds when killing the enemy by using melee. So if I'm killing enemies often, I should have over 105% extra melee weapon damage for about 10 additional seconds. It's got about 28% gear recharge, so I'll be getting both my gear pieces back quicker, and then it has 30% ult damage. Symbiotic Surge increases javelin armor by a large amount and increases all damage by 50% for 10 seconds when picking up repair packs. It's got 28% weapon damage, which should help with my melee, and then it's got 35% all damage. Softening Blows increases javelin shield by a large amount and increases the damage resistance by 75% for 5 seconds when the shield runs out. And then it has 80% armor on it, and then 28% ult damage. Sniper magazine. Add specialized storage for enhanced sniper rifle munitions, increases damage by 30% of base damage, increases maximum magazine size of sniper rifle by a large amount. So I'm only running this because I'm not running a sniper rifle because it has dual damage inscriptions. Vengeance Matrix, which I kind of want to talk about something else that could replace this pretty easily, and I will do that later on to kind of showcase the difference. But basically, it's Vengeance Matrix, which is one of the Interceptor components. It increases all damage by 50% and damage taken by 25%. So basically, I'm going to do about 50% more damage at all times, but I'm also going to be taking about 25% damage at all times as well. And then on low armor, damage taken is reduced by 50% for 10 seconds. I've got support recharge on it and then acid effect. So the acid effect will help me out a lot. Support recharge would just be nice to have. But basically, the way this is going to work. So with the masterwork perk of on low armor, damage taken is reduced by 50% for 10 seconds. You would couple that with softening blows, which will increase damage resistance by 75% for 5 seconds. So for 5 seconds, if I get low enough, I will be immune to damage. And then that should also, so basically I can put myself in these situations where I instantly lose a majority of my health and my shield in one shot against certain enemy types, and that will proc emergency power, which will give me my ult right away. But these two will keep me alive, so I can do that every once in a while. It's a nice little trick to force emergency power so you can start off right away with your ult. However, a substitute or something you could replace on this type of a build for Vengeance Matrix is Way of Resolve. So it increases the Interceptor's melee damage by 10%, and then dashing increases melee damage by about 40% for 10 seconds. So basically, it sort of does the same thing that Vengeance Matrix does, minus the increased damage taken. But the downside is it won't give you invincibility with softening blows. So you can go down in a one shot if you have this on instead of Vengeance Matrix, because softening blow is only going to do 75%. There's still that 25% where you could get pretty much annihilated. And this only is going to last for 5 seconds as well, where with Vengeance Matrix, it had a little bit more resistance for a little bit longer. This one is more, if you want it with this a sustained like 6 or 50% damage, where you're just going to be dashing around, you're going to get that additional 50% along with close encounter, where you're getting, every time you dash, you also get 125 for approximately 10 seconds between those two, sustained every time you dash. This build, it doesn't really have a detonator, so I won't be detonating combos, but with all the acid and physical damage I'm going to be doing, I really shouldn't need it because it should melt enemies pretty well, because acid has like a 1.75 modifier or bonus to all the damage dealt with it. Plus, while I'm launching out Slayer's Fury, that should increase all my damage, or it reduces the enemy's resistance, which will cause my damage to do more to the enemy types. So I'll be using Viper's Bite to basically get my ult back really quickly. I'll just find a large group. I'll hit them all with Viper's Bite to get a bunch of charges back, and then I'll eventually be able to use my ult, and then I'll spam my ult around, and then I'll just start all over again. So it'll be a really consistent build. It shouldn't be so weak that I'm not going to be able to stay alive, because like we were talking about, Vengeance Matrix and Softening Blows should keep me alive if I get too low, which will proc emergency power if it's not on cooldown, and then I'll be able to use my ult. All right, we're launching a legendary mission on GM3, and then we're bringing 2 acid sigils, which give me about 50% acid damage and 30% melee damage. Let's do it. Okay, we're going to start off by dashing in to get Scout's Fury, and we'll throw out Serpent's Veil and Viper's Bite to get some acid damage all over the area and start building up my ult. So all these enemies are elite, but I'm pretty much taking them down in just a couple hits. So I'm getting anywhere between 52,000 to 104,000 just for my melee hits alone. Alright, we'll try the ult. And then we're getting approximately 47,000 to just about 100,000 on the ult hits. As you can see, even without my ult, I'm still doing a ton of damage. I'm just cutting through all of these enemy types without using any detonator. So you can see with my melee hits, I automatically procced a Striker's Venom, which is giving me that 200% extra melee damage for acid hits. And then I'll kill an enemy type with my melee, which will give me Bloodlust, which will increase my melee by even more. And now Vengeance Matrix is keeping me alive, allowing me to go straight into my ult. Alright, we've got an elite Ash Titan. We'll go ahead and throw out our Slayer's Fury. We'll go ahead and hit him with some acid, and we'll just launch straight into our ult. So we're only seeing about 27,000 and 55,000 for damage, but that's mostly due to the fact that the Titan has about 75% resistance, which every once in a while we'll see 95,000. But I mean, we're gonna definitely take them down with just one ult, which is pretty good. There they are. So the main thing I want to focus on here is just trying to get my ult back with Viper's Bite as soon as possible, because there is a legendary ranger here. And I want to go ahead and show how I can take him out with this build with the ult alone. And just something in case you haven't noticed, I keep getting Symbiotic Surge because I'm not very tanky Interceptor. And I keep picking up health packs, which is giving me 50% damage for 10 seconds. In addition to all the damage I'm already doing. Okay, now we've got our ult. We're going to go over here and take on the Ranger. Go ahead and clear out some enemies real quickly. And the Ranger's here somewhere. I just saw him. Oh, there, right above me. Yeah, that's a legendary Ranger, and I just took him down with, what, 6 hits? Let's see how quick we can take down this Elite Storm. Pretty much the same. So from here, I'm just going to clear out the rest of the enemy types. We're going to launch a Quick Play Stronghold on GM3. We're bringing 2 Acid Sigils, give me 50% acid damage, and then an Armor Sigil with 30% armor to keep me alive a little bit longer. Here we go. Okay, so we got a Colossus that used Berserker's Cry. We'll go ahead and use a Striker's Fury. And we're getting a little bit more damage here. We're seeing about 68,000 and approximately 120,000 damage. That's also because a lot of these enemies in the stronghold are armored, so they have a lot less resistance to my acid effect. I'll go ahead and launch my ult. We're pretty much seeing the same numbers, approximately 47 and 95,000 on just ult hits alone. And the thing about the Interceptors ult is they can detonate with their ult. So as you can see, I have Ice Aura right now. I'm going to start off by launching Slayer's Fury to weaken the enemy's resistance. And then if I kill them, it'll jump to another enemy type. And then I'll keep dashing around to get my Scout's Fury. And because I'm killing enemies melee, I'm going to continuously maintain Bloodlust. And then I'll be picking up ammo packs, which will proc Softening Blow. So I'm just going to have a whole stack of things procced on the left-hand side. So another good thing about this build is even though I got my ult, I can still prime all these enemies without necessarily driving to get the ult, but to help my teammates, you know, detonate combos for themselves, so they can also get their ults and just do better damage with combos. Okay, one enemy type left, and yes, I'm going to use my close encounter to take them down. Now those Dominion Furies are in, I'm going to go ahead and weaken their resistance and then launch my ult, and hopefully I shouldn't have too much trouble with them. Nope. I think I handled them just fine. So my goal during the monitor's phases are just to really get my ult back as quick as possible and then just launch it while priming the monitor so that my teammates can detonate good combos. And right here is a good example of how Vengeance Matrix kept me alive, so I could just launch straight into my ult. And the monitor is a good example of another enemy type that has high resistance, because my ult's only doing about 35,000 on the small hits and then 71,000 on the higher hits. So the acid phase of the monitor is going to show the real weakness of this build. Basically, I'm just trying to stay alive here and build up my ult, and that's it. See, I'm doing like no damage. So really, it's just survive mode at this point. I'm really only going to be spamming Slayer's Fury just to weaken all the enemy types so my team can take them down a little bit easier. I'll be doing some damage, but it'll be very minor. So here I'm going to want to reduce their resistance with Slayer's Fury, launch my ult, and take them down. Or at least do as much damage as possible. Obviously, we're not going to do a lot because they do have a higher resistance, but the goal is just to get them down as quickly as possible. And then I'll be able to proc emergency power to get my ult back and just do it over again. And I want to remember to keep throwing out Slayer's Fury to help my teammates and help reduce their resistance overall, so they'll be a lot weaker. So this is a good example of using my Vengeance Matrix combo and Softening Blows. Basically, get my health reduced immediately. I'll have survivability for a few seconds, and then I can just go straight into my ult and finish the monitor's last phase off. Okay, so reviewing the build, it wasn't really like focused on one thing. Like it wasn't focused on just ult or just combos. It was kind of it kind of spread the damage out amongst melee damage, acid damage, and ult damage. It was pretty fun to use, and it wasn't too complicated. The most complicated this build ever gets is when you're trying to focus on using Vengeance Matrix to kind of create that moment of invincibility to go straight into your ult. And even then, the timing for that isn't really specific because it gives you such a solid window of like, what, 5 seconds. The acid effect, or the acid damage I was doing, was really good too. I don't feel like you need to rely too much on inscriptions here. It's nice to have them, but this build doesn't rely only on inscriptions. Like for instance, with my ult damage, even with only like approximately 200%, not even that, of ult damage, it still did really good ult damage overall. So it kind of made the build really interesting and fun to mess around with. And the thing you gotta remember is this build didn't use any combos whatsoever. I was able to combo every once in a while from when I was in my ult, but my stance on the combo system is the Ranger and the Colossus have the best overall combo damage or combo effects. Now, the Interceptor and the Storm have combo effects as well, but I don't feel like there's as much benefit to the combo system as the Ranger and the Colossus. Mostly because like the Interceptor and the Storm, you use combo effects that distribute whatever the primer is to other enemy types. But the problem with that is it's not actually priming those enemy types. And because they have that effect on them, they actually cannot be primed. So it's almost like a negative to do that. But that's just kind of my outlook on it. There are definitely good priming, detonating builds of those types of javelins. I don't believe there's too much more to be said about this build. It's a pretty fun build. It's not too complicated. You can do a lot with it. So I'm going to end the video there. But as always, I hope to see you. I hope to see all your freelancers out in Bastion. Oh, and one last thing. I believe in Anthem.